It's the Infectious Groove Podcast, recorded at the 33 and 3rd Music Appreciation Center in Speakeasy, just outside of Detroit, Michigan. The Infectious Groove Podcast is your source for jammy jams, music news, and the best in-depth music discussion. Now here's your host.
Hello, I am your host. My name is Russ. Along with me is Kyle and Michelle. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
We're good.
So it's episode 28.
Mm-hmm.
I am wildly hungover.
So it was a good night.
Regular listeners of the show will notice a distinct tone shift from how I usually open the show.
I was like, why are you mad now?
I would like it to be quiet.
What?
Yeah. So, and I've mentioned this on the show before, and of course you guys know this. Oh, we have people over to spin records every Friday. And I just turned around twice last night and was like, look who's way more intoxicated than he meant to be.
That was early when you texted me that too.
Oh yeah.
It was like 10:30.
You know what would have been smart is at that point recognizing it and then slowing down.
You did the first part.
I recognized it.
And then you ramped up.
And then instead of toning it down, I gave it a hug after I recognized it. And
You do you, man.
Yeah, night ended around 3 or so. So
5 hours later.
I pride myself, and you guys know this, I put a lot of work into prep for the show.
Yeah.
This is the least prepped I've ever been for any episode.
We're going to do it, man. It's going to be great.
Ever. You guys are pretty much going to be responsible for getting the content of this program today.
Would you like a nap?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, can we do that?
Yeah.
You guys take it from here.
Yeah. Crawl under the table.
Just guess which of these buttons
I'm just going to button smash them all.
Sure. Yeah, you should do that. So anyways, I do not want to take away from the episode, though. I really do feel like we're going to have a good discussion because our main topic of discussion is artists and songs that have affected your life. And for me, and I say this a lot on the show, but if you shook me awake in the middle of the night, I can talk about this for like an hour, as far as like I am who I am because of a lot of artists and not so much certain songs, but definitely certain artists. And so I can go on about that for days. So we're going to be all right.
We're going to be all right.
I'm going to very quietly take us into our first segment here in a second. But before I do that, as I continue to try to get better at promoting our own show, as I have been doing, I'll mention our socials and support. So you can follow us on Instagram /InfectiousGroovePod. You can go to Facebook.com/InfectiousGroovePod. Give the page a like and a follow. Go to Twitter and follow us at Infectious_pod. You can shoot us a direct line at InfectiousGroovePodcast@gmail.com. Attention, Michelle. We always mention that. And then if you'd like to support the show, which we always mention this, but we are extremely thankful for the supporters that we do have. If you would like to join in to that fun bunch, you can go to anchor.fm/InfectiousGroupPodcast and support the show for as little as $1 a month. So if you want to join in with the folks that are already supporting us, we would appreciate that greatly. And I didn't talk to you about this beforehand, but what website's coming soon? Yes? Okay.
I'm going to roll with that other thing that you found.
The other thing? Okay.
It is, it's amazing.
Right on.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Okay, we have a website coming. There was long story, but it was we ran into more issues with that than we wanted to, but apparently we're back on track now.
We are back on track.
Which is super dope.
Coming to you very soon.
Yes. So it's been a slow week, but we are going to get into
music news.
And actually, we had to pull some music news from last week to talk about this week. But what do you got?
The major thing is that Peter Green passed away.
Yeah, which, I mean, he passed away from being 73.
Yeah.
He was an older
That's not
kid.
old.
No, but
it's
he...
old in rock star terms.
For sure.
Yeah.
When you have an entire industry that has something called the 27 Club,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing with Peter Green, and for anybody who listens to our bonus episodes, we were talking about how influential, or I was talking about how influential Led Zeppelin 4 is and how it launched 1 million guitar players. That's Peter Green. Peter Green, there's 1 million guitar players who picked up a guitar because of Peter Green and his Fleetwood Mac. And obviously, there's a big division in Fleetwood Mac fans. Like, there's a lot of people who like Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, and then there's a bunch of people who don't even know that the band existed till after Peter Green left and Stevie. And
that's probably me.
Yeah, but prior to Stevie and I'm not saying this to be funny, but you wouldn't have liked the band before Stevie. It's a very blues rock jam band type thing.
You're right. I would not have liked that.
But Peter Green wrote one of my favorite songs of all time, which is "Oh Well." I can't help about the shape I'm in. So I know I have to give you the lyrics.
Thank you.
Yeah, he does say "Oh Well" in the song though, so that should be your theme song, by the way. Don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give the answer that you want me to. Oh, well. I can't believe that's not your theme song.
No, you don't know me.
Right,
you
yeah.
don't own me.
Well, yeah, Leslie Gore.
Yeah, sorry.
So anyways, he wrote, oh, well, Black Magic Woman, So, for example, your mom loves Santana.
yeah.
She would not have that cut without
Yeah.
the monster that Peter Green was. And a lot of people know that I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, and if you are a big Pink Floyd fan, then you know a lot about Syd Barrett and his mental decline and the way things went with that. And Peter Green very much went through a lot of the similar things that Syd Barrett did in his early life, and that's why he left. And actually, I read an interview recently that said he was asked why he named the band Fleetwood Mac, and it was because he knew that eventually it would have to go to someone else. Like, he knew that he wasn't going to be able to carry on. So that's why he put Mick Fleetwood's name in it instead of his own, because he knew that he was just not going to be able to carry on a long time. So, yeah, so in Rockstar years, and definitely with someone who went through so much of an issue mentally, 73 is quite a long life.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so.
It was just old age.
As far as I know, I didn't see anything that was, I think it was. So what else do we have for music news?
The Go-Go's have a documentary coming out on Showtime.
Yeah,
it features all of them,
which is sweet.
And they did not kill one another, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, yet. So the doc. Actually, we're recording this on Saturday. Today's already August 1st. Holy crap!
Yeah, that's crazy.
Summer's over.
Did that happen while I was drinking?
Actually, it did.
Yeah, I actually did. But yeah, the documentary comes out today, so for the people listening to this on Monday, it would have come out over the weekend. So the Go-Go's are one of those things that I was never a huge fan of them, but you can't deny their influence. Like, the only reason why you get so many female pop stars and rock stars in the late 80s and following into, like let me put it this way, you don't get the Spice Girls without the Go-Go's kicking the door in. And when you get a group of strong personalities that, you turn around twice and everybody's at each other's throats, and Belinda Carlisle became the Suzanne Hoffs of the group, like the one that everyone focused on. At one time, media started referring to them as like Belinda Carlisle and the Go-Go's, and the other Go-Go's were like, which, by the way, total sidebar, he's always looking at me over the record bin over there. It annoys the living crap out of me that the latest Culture Club record, on the actual spine, it says Boy George and Culture Club. No.
Yeah,
I will tell you that the other members of Culture Club are as or more important to Culture Club than Boy George is.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, he's always peeking out over the record bin at me, and I'm always every time I'm thinking about that. But yeah, so the Go-Go's very much had a whole lot of turmoil, and it's one of those what could have, like, the story is they had a lot of success, but it's one of those like what could have been if if they hadn't all been destroyed by their own egos and all that stuff. So I'm very interested in watching it. I told you guys just recently I watched that Linda Ronstadt documentary. It's called The Sound of My Voice. I think that one's on HBO, and consider myself pretty well versed in music history, and there was a ton of stuff I didn't know about her. So I have a feeling this Go-Go's one is going to be me being like, what? I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, I like when it's on a channel like that, so it can be like uncut and they don't sense. Like, if you watch one like for MTV or some other cable channel, it wouldn't be as good or in depth.
Yep. I think there's at least one other piece of music news.
Yeah, I guess Toni Braxton is releasing new music soon,
which I'm all right with.
Yeah,
I mean, she's got a golden voice. My favorite thing about Toni Braxton is how she got discovered. She was a receptionist at a record label and just singing at her desk, and the right person walked by and was like, you should be singing in front of a microphone, not at this desk.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so and her new record comes out at the end of the month, but I assume there's a single out already.
And if there's not one out now, there will be soon.
Yeah, for sure,
because of when it's coming out. But yeah,
so I'd like to see some really good R&B return.
Yeah,
and we've been kind of dry on that.
She's one of the last like powerhouse voices that are left. Like we lost Whitney. Mariah is down and out, even though she thinks that she's not.
She's not under that impression. But yeah.
And then there's Toni Braxton. So I'm curious to see what she comes out with.
Yeah. It's all going to come down to the production team and all that.
Yeah.
We will see what happens. So that is everything. Michelle, did you have the one story, or do you not want to share it?
It's fine.
Yeah, prior to going on air, Michelle gave us probably the least amount of information anyone's ever given anyone else about a music store.
The one thing did the other thing, and then they stole something, and then now it's okay.
Yeah, but then it turns out, and
so it's not even news anymore.
Our official ruling was that it was not even news anyways. So.
I tried.
Yeah, all right. Well, here's something we will all have something to discuss. Our jammies. Yes, Michael, it is our Jammy Jams. And for me, there's been two big things I've been listening to. One is it's kind of a long story, but I'll try and knock it down. My son, I picked him up the other day, and he was out of the clear blue sky, said he was looking into like everything surrounding John Lennon's death. And my son, who's 14, was like, I just don't like, why do people say that Mark David Chapman was a fan? But then he killed him. Like, how could you do that? And so I was like, well, people, are mentally disturbed, and a lot of times with how connected our society is, people think that they're more connected to these people than they are, and it has to do with mental illness. And then literally I stopped myself and I was like, and I don't think any father's ever said this sentence, but I said, you know what? Eminem can explain this better than me. So I put on Stan.
Yeah.
And literally, when it got to the end of the song, he was like, I get it. Like, you know what I mean? He was like, I didn't even think about that. And I was like, yeah. And then I talked to him about, like, kind of the dangers of the connected society that we're in now. I was like, you have to understand. And it's funny, I used Boy George as an example. I said, like, 5 years ago, Boy George tweeted something, and I tweeted back, and he replied. And I was like, if I wasn't in the right mental frame, I could be like, oh, well, we're best friends now. And, like, how dare you ignore me or whatever. And so that... You're never going to believe this, but that led into me listening to a whole crap load of early Eminem that I haven't listened to in a long time. So I ended up with Stan is just such a brilliant song. It's such a brilliant piece of art. And
Yeah.
Yep.
So it just got me listening to the rest of that record and whatever.
All
And
I
then
can see is Devin Sawa in the video.
I have no idea if that's that guy's name.
Wait, did you just reference a music video?
I did.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's another one I've seen. Wait, go back to that episode.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that video.
We have to keep amending that list because I feel like you've doubled your music videos. You're at least a 6 now that you've seen.
Yeah. Isn't that him? I'm pretty sure it's him.
Yeah, I think it is.
The guy from Idle Hands.
I think you were just
Final
literally just
Destination
trolling
guy.
us about not knowing about music videos because you come up
Well,
with some.
first of all,
I don't
how do you
remember
even
them.
know that dude's name? And I'm not wrong. He's the Final Destination
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Right?
Idle Hands,
Idle
yeah.
Hands. She probably had posters of him in her bedroom.
I
or
actually
something.
did.
Yeah,
From
so
Tiger
that's-
Beat. Yep,
that's why she knows
100%
him.
did.
So he's from those movies and the Stan video.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, moving on.
Yeah, and so the other thing, and we'll get into this more about artists that have influenced our lives and whatnot, but I've been looking for one of the many diatribes that I go on this show all the time is about how it's ridiculous the amount of stuff that you can't pay a record label for. And there's a live version of The Wall by Pink Floyd, like it's from the tour, so it's not Roger doing it on his own or Dave doing songs from it. It's like all 4 of them on the Wall tour, and I can't pay a record label for it. I can't. It's not on streaming. I can't.
Nobody will take your money?
No one will take my money for this. Like, you can buy original CDs of it, like when it was released in 2000 on Amazon for like $60 or $70. Like, I'm not paying some other guy $60 or $70 for the
For a
CD.
CD.
Yeah, so I'll also put it this way. I acquired it
Snap.
because I literally spent 2 days trying to find a way to pay a record label for this. And so, anyways, we'll get into more of The Wall later with things that influenced me, but the dark web. The live version of that album smokes the studio version every bit of the way. Like,
Had you heard it before?
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
I'd heard. I mean, I it came out in 2000, and it came out in England like 6 months before it came out here, and I bought it from England to have it 6 months early. And I've listened to it a million times. I just know never had a quality like rip of it, and you can't get it on streaming in the U.S., which is ridiculous. I think it's on Spotify like every other country but the U.S.
Where's your CD?
Oh, who knows? That's, if I was to guess, your garage.
I was about to say, that's about the time you could have left it at my house.
Or someone else's garage or something. I don't know. But anyways, it's just musically, it absolutely smokes the record. That's the studio version. Like, everybody is playing better live than they did in the studio. I have a theory on it. I think it's because when they were playing live, they could just play how they wanted to, and Roger couldn't be like, nope, stop that. Especially because Rick Wright is an amazing keyboard player, and he doesn't get anywhere near the recognition he should in music history, and he is killing it on the keys the whole show. And I'm reasonably sure the whole show he was just in Roger's in-ears being like, this could have been like this on the record, but like, because Roger famously like threw a fit at him and wouldn't let him play much on the record. So anyways, I've been listening to a ton of that because it's my favorite record of all time, and that's like the best version of it. So for anybody from EMI or Sony or BMG, first of all, put it on streaming because people want to hear that, and also please re-release it so we can pay you money for this. It would need to go over at least 3 LPs because it's longer than the studio record, but I would the day that comes out, I'll buy 2 copies of it on vinyl. So one for me and one to make up for the one that I acquired.
One to keep in a safe for when you lose the first one.
You ain't kidding. I have 3 pressings of Amused to Death, and 2 of them are backups. That's how much I love that record, but that's another one that we'll get into in a bit. So, Michelle, and this is as excited as I can possibly get. I'm actually... Literally, the front of my face is throbbing from speaking this excited. But I'm making that sacrifice because I got to know, what are your jammy jams?
So this week I spent some time in my angsty teenage years listening to a lot of emo, getting ready for the show, just trying to find stuff.
You crawled all up in your feelings.
I did. Yeah. I did. This week actually has been...
Staring at your poster of the guy from Final Destination?
Yep. JTT was up there as well. But I did... Once I start on down that road, it's like I just keep... And I'm like, oh, I remember this band, and I remember this. And like, so that was what I've been listening to. And I don't want to spoil it too much because I'm going to talk about it.
Sure.
So, but that's what I've been listening to a lot of stuff to talk about. So
people are going to get on our playlist and be like, she had a rough teenage
Yep,
years.
sure did. Yep, totally. You know, roof over my head, food on the table.
Yeah. Hashtag pray for Michelle. So, but yeah, okay, cool. So, and it was like with the wall thing too. It's like I'm going to talk a lot about that later. So, Kyle, what are your jammy jams? I have to assume diverse as usual.
Yeah, so I listened to the new Taylor Swift record.
I heard from a lot of people that that's a solid meh.
I liked it, but I also liked her last record too.
But it isn't. To me, it felt very similar to the last record.
I'll say I like the last record more than I thought I would.
I like that style of her, like the old school style that she's trying to.
But it's more of the same, right?
Yeah, it's more folky.
Yeah.
Than the other one. The last one was like
not just a clever title.
No, I liked it. I found myself being able to listen to it. It wasn't like I was like, oh, this is terrible.
Let me put it this way: do you think in a year you'll be like, put that album on, or do you think you'll be like everybody else and just be like, put 1989 on?
Yeah, I think I'd put 1989 on before Folklore for sure.
I like the Bon Iver. Is that how you say his name?
Bon Iver.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways. So
there's another one we have to put on the list. Tell me how to say that. I like that song more than I thought I would because I don't really like. Is it him or a band?
It's just a person.
Okay, so I don't like him that much. So.
I do like him, and I've never heard him sound like that on a track before.
It doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard.
It's very different than the normal music he does, and I liked that track.
We talked about this recently, but the last time I heard that from a singer where I was like, that's way different than I've ever heard, is that record Norah Jones did with Billy Joe Armstrong of all Everly Brothers stuff. He's singing so differently. I got halfway through the first track, and I was like, I thought this was just the two of them on this album.
Who is this?
Yeah, like for real. He sings so differently than you've ever heard him sing before. So anyways, the Taylor Swift record, what else you got?
The new Logic record too, No Pressure. That dude can really, really, really rap. Like, he is super talented, and I think underrated because he's been independent and not like, he has like his own core fan base, and you don't really hear a lot about him unless like new stuff comes out or whatever. But God, he can.
I need, I have a jazz Sherpa. My friend, a friend of the show, Joe, is like my jazz guy. Like, because there's so much jazz. Yeah. So he's the guy that's like, okay, here's the jazz that you would like. I need you to be my rap Sherpa. Because there's so much out there that it gets overwhelming for me, and I'm the type of person that if I put on an artist and inside the first 15 seconds if I don't hear a lyric that catches me, I'm like, everything you've ever done is terrible and I'm never listening to you ever again.
Didn't you say you liked that Black Bear that was on the
Yes,
list?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Lyrically, you would like Logic.
Okay.
And
it's a whole record, right?
It's called No Pressure. And it's so he announced his retirement, like he's for real, like leaving.
So I'm getting in at the wrong time.
No, he's announcing retirement because you want to listen.
Yeah,
to him.
Yeah. So
he's like, Russ is listening. Word. All right, I'm out.
The cool thing about this record is, I want to say it was 10 years ago. Maybe not that long. Several years ago, he released a record called Under Pressure, and No ID produced the entire thing. Mm-hmm. And now, years later, he released No Pressure, his retirement record, and No ID produced the entire thing.
Nice.
And
so it's kind of like getting the band back together, like where he had the most success.
Oh man, it's fire, for lack of a better term. Like, he snaps on it.
I'm quite all right with that as a term.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how I acknowledge a record, the entire record being awesome. It's just it's fire. Just listen to that, it's fire.
I did find myself. I happened upon another Versus battle.
Oh yeah. You were talking about that.
And like, I don't ever see these things when they actually are happening. It's always like afterwards.
Yep.
But it was.
I just hear about the ones that should blow up on social media, like if somebody gets totally smoked.
Oh yeah. It was Fabulous and Jadakiss. I think. And oh man, it just took me back to listening to all the old stuff that I hadn't listened to in years.
Did we accidentally? Are we recording this in the early 2000s? Because we've talked about Final Destination, and now this, like, in Tony Braxton. You know?
And I very much like. I would say I would choose Fabulous over him over Jadakiss anyways, because of just I like Fabulous more.
Sure.
But hearing all the old stuff, and it was different than the DMX Snoop Dogg one because they like performed the entire thing. DMX and Snoop Dogg went back and forth,
right?
And it was very much like high energy and like
you were saying Snoop did all the No Limit.
Yeah,
cuts.
and then like DMX was acting all like crazy, shocking.
I still can't believe that. You told me that on the show, and I still don't believe it.
This was very different, where they kind of like were rapping, but they were basically just letting a DJ play their huge hit songs back and forth.
Right.
It was just almost like a DJ battle, rather. But
still,
yeah, no, it was awesome, and I find myself listening to all this old stuff that I hadn't listened to in years.
That's rad.
Yeah,
cool. All right, well, I definitely need to look into the Logic record. So, per usual, when I put together like the list of stuff, I'll just put on there like whatever Kyle wants me to add.
I know, and then I go to sit down on my computer, and I'm like, oh, damn it, Kyle.
And then I just
wait. Hold on. What?
I go, damn it, Kyle.
I just get one by one messages. What song from who? What song from this artist? What song from this artist? What song from this artist?
Yeah. Well, I usually have specific songs, but every so often I'm just like, and like with The Wall, you're not going to be able to put any of the live version on the damn playlist.
Maybe they'll hear your prayers, and then by tomorrow.
I sure hope so. They've reissued every damn other thing in Pink Floyd's catalog 700 different times. So I don't know why that hasn't been reissued, but I will just pick some songs off The Wall. Actually, you know what? You pick your favorites. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
There's 26 songs. Michelle's just going to be like, track 5, track 7.
5 is my lucky number.
Yeah. I'll just count that. So anyways, all right. Well, we are going to get into the main topic, so I'll take us there.
It's time for the Infectious Groove Podcast. Main topic of discussion.
So the topic for this week is artists and songs that have affected our lives. And to me, and, I guess this goes under the category of things I could have told you guys before right this second. But for me, what I mean by affected is not just a song that you really liked. Like a song that or a song or an artist that really changed, I don't know, who you are, or helped develop who you are, or you know what I mean? That's what I think when I think of it. So did you just bring a list of songs you really like?
No, I brought songs that are music that I like, and I started, mine is chronological, so mine is we're
going to go on a journey.
Just songs that I remember as a child being like, oh my gosh, I need more of this, and then songs that have changed my taste in music, and songs that have like I said, in my angsty years, I was like, this speaks to me, and and so it was mostly that. They didn't necessarily shape me as a person, but they kind of changed my taste in music and made me appreciate other things.
Yeah. What's funny is, for me, one of the biggest influences on me overall, and it's I've almost been on the same journey he has been, except I'm getting the benefits of what he's learned much later in his life than I am in mine, is Roger Waters. And he spent so much time being an angry young man, and then an angry middle-aged man, and from the Floyd material, from I'd say at least Animals until Amused to Death, so much of his material is don't trust anybody, everybody's bad, no matter what, people are going to be out to get you, and I very much believed a lot of that stuff myself. And then now he's a kind old man. He's reflecting a lot. We went and saw him do The Wall in 2010. And he was smiling the whole time and, really enjoying himself. And it was just when they did Mother, he had video of himself from the Wall tour up there, and he was trading lines with himself. And he was like, I'm going to do a duet with the biggest asshole in music. This guy's just a miserable jerk or whatever, and he's learned since then to be a lot more forgiving and whatever. I'm sure there's certain people listening to this that are but Pink Floyd still hate each other. I'm just talking about life in general,
broad spectrum here.
Yeah. And he's calmed down to a certain extent and is more open, but he hasn't lost the edge. His latest record is called Is This the Life We Really Want? And he's still very much talking about super important topics as far as world politics go, but it's not you absolutely have to agree with me. Now it's more here's a perspective.
Right.
And I feel I've made that journey myself along with him. Like, I mean, you know this.
Yeah.
I literally used to just be like, what you like is dumb, and what I like is great, and there will be no discussion.
Good day, sir.
I said good day. And I very much have grown into, like, this is what I like and why I like it. Like, I'm not all offended if you don't. Like,
Right.
you know this. I used to get, like, wildly offended if people didn't like exactly what I liked. And I feel like Roger Waters has influenced my life to a certain extent, because in a bad way when I was younger, because it didn't help to have a person that you looked up to saying and like reaffirming all the things that you already thought, like bad things that you thought about people. And so now I'm starting to grow more into like really understanding where other people are coming from, and so is he. So it's kind of funny, and it's good for me though to be like, well, I'm just about half his age, and I'm learning that now, as opposed to him who got around. I think he got up to about 66 years old before he was like, wait a minute, not everybody's a dick all the time. So I'll just throw that one out there as like my first one. As far as music influencing your life, Kyle, like, has there ever been an artist that you maybe had a perspective on something and then they had a song and you were like, oh, I never thought of it that way? You know what I mean? Like, an example I would give is like the Eminem thing. Like, me personally, or Stan.
Yeah.
Like, I never really even thought too much about that until I heard that song, and I was like, holy cow, like, that's how people get.
I don't know that, like, when I think of, like, if I go way back to my childhood, there's a couple songs that, like, Blue Christmas by Elvis.
Yeah.
I immediately, like, that whole area and time when I was really young, it's kind of like what I was listening to, but there's like some songs that stick out. That's one of them. Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee.
Yeah.
And the
opening guitar on that, by the way.
Oh,
that's what Christmas sounds like to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I don't, like, my mom really liked Elvis a lot. She still does. But so there's a lot of Elvis.
Yeah, I was going to say, what happened? Why does
No, she still does.
I can talk to her.
My mom liked Elvis. My dad liked Pink Floyd. And then he always, when he was around the house or like out in the shed, like working on stuff, always listened to the riff. And so it was all like White Zombie and Bob Seger and AC/DC and all this stuff that
they play Seger on Detroit radio.
Yeah, that's weird.
I've never heard that before.
So I don't know that there was one particular thing that like it shaped how I am
where you're
today.
at musically. Yeah,
but like,
because I'm curious how you get so diverse. Like, I know exactly why I'm so diverse, and I will go into it in the second half.
To be honest with you, for the longest time, when I was younger, I very much was not open with liking so much different stuff.
Yeah.
I liked what I liked, and I didn't really talk to a lot of people about it.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I met all these other people that really liked a bunch of different stuff, and I was like, oh, that's not just me that likes all this stuff that no one's talking about.
So, well, specifically with like rap, like, and we'll get into this later. For me, what is the thing that made you open the door to rap in its entirety? Or like, you don't have to nail it down to one thing, but
I would say that it started with that Puff Daddy and the Family record, and then when Eminem came out, that launched me.
The thing that made you go?
Yeah, it launched me into a whole other like spectrum of wanting to see what it was all about.
We'll get into it, but I feel like you had the same thing that I had, where that's a hell of an artist. Like, it was one of those rare instances where art and commerce meet. Like, everyone was talking about how great Eminem was, but then when you listen to it, he actually was that great.
Yeah.
His first record came out in 2000?
99, I think.
Yeah, so it was like right as like Kyle and I were starting high school, so it's like right as like the formative years for me for like music, and it was just like you're out discovering things on your own now.
He also has a really old record called Infinite that, like,
that's right,
came out way back in the day, and I think he only sold, I don't even know, didn't get like a mainstream release. It was like a sell out of your trunk kind of thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like DNR selling.
When you leave at St. Andrews Hall, they're handing you those CDs.
Yeah, literally.
Yep. Infinite, I think, is like 96.
Yeah, it's super old. And I didn't think about this ahead of time, but as far as Eminem goes, there's a disconnect between a lot of different cultures and Eminem in the rap industry,
right?
Because the guy who grew up in the hood, who sees his brother dealing drugs or his uncle's a drug dealer, he's not listening to an artist talk about killing his wife and all this other crazy stuff. No. He's listening to the stuff that he can relate to, and a lot of people that grow up in the hood can't relate to a white dude from Detroit.
Right. Yeah,
and I never even. This all came about when Snoop Dogg said that Eminem wasn't like a top 10 rap artist, whatever, the whole thing. But then a lot of other people were speaking on it, and they made that point, was that people not everyone can relate to, even if he's great, cannot relate to what he's rapping about.
Yeah. Damn, that's almost a whole separate episode.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No.
It's a whole other thing.
For me, I can't relate to everything that's on the first three Eminem records, but for me, it was more about the talent than anything. It wasn't like Kim could be considered one of the most wildly offensive songs of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's such an amazing piece of art that for me, like that song makes me physically uncomfortable to listen to.
Yeah.
Like I will squirm in my seat listening to that song. And I certainly can't identify with what's what's going on in the song. I want to be clear. I said I can't.
Cannot?
I cannot. But the rhyme schemes, the emotion, and the way it's delivered, is just. I mean, that's a whole.
To go back to your actual question, it was definitely, I think, No Way Out
was the thing that made you
that they got me interested.
Sure.
And because Puff Daddy's so good at his job, like it's such a good record. And then there's all these features from artists that later on would become like huge and famous, but you didn't really know who they were.
Right.
So that whole thing, I got caught in I want to know more about this, and then it eventually led to Eminem and Dr. Dre, and then Snoop Dogg, and then there's all this old Snoop Dogg that came out when I was born, and it just opened the floodgates.
Yeah. And so, it's funny. There's a similar path for a lot of people where if you end up going down one path and you never listen to anything else, and that's totally fine. But there's a lot of people, and that's what I was hoping to uncover. There's a lot of people that there's that turning point. There's that one thing that they hear where they're like, oh, now I can listen to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know by me mentioning different stuff all the time, is I just like what I like, and I don't know how to explain how it just happens.
Right,
It's just,
which is great. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of people whose best friends don't know that they're into certain artists or music because they don't want to tell their friends for fear of judgment. And it's like, no, I'm going to go ahead and like what I like, and I'll certainly pass it on to you. If you don't like it, that's cool, but
unless it's me and Portishead, then that's not cool.
It's still not cool. Still not cool.
I
want to go back and figure out what day it was that I gave that to you, because I feel like I must have met you in either 2003 or 4. And
probably 2002 or 2003.
Yeah, okay. So let's say 03. And I know it would have been around May because of the Cinco de Mayo debacle. Mm-hmm. So I want to figure out what day it was, and then I'm going to have a National Day of Mourning every year for when I gave you that. So anyways, I'm going to take us to break here, and then when we come back, we're going to get into, just so you're prepared, Michelle, I would like to know what your turning point was where you got into a whole bunch more stuff. Yeah, I see that look on your face. You're going to need to be prepared. We'll be back in a second.
Hi, I'm Dietrich.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
We're from the podcast That Song From That Movie, the journey through the very best and worst of movie songs.
We want you to join us on our voyage across the cinematic sound waves as we take a deep dive on a new song and movie each week to figure out just what makes them tick.
Already we've set sail with Celine Dion on the Titanic, found a friend in Toy Story, and gotten drenched out in the rain with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Hopefully each breakdown allows us to answer the ultimate question of what's better, the movie or the song. Or at least learn something new along the way.
Just like learning that Toy Story 4 is a meaningless cash grab without a soul.
You can subscribe right now on all good podcast platforms. If you use one of the bad ones, then that's on you, and we can't be held responsible.
Subscribe to That Song From That Movie.
With so many podcasts out in the world, you have a plethora of options. Take a chance with Too Many Captains, a movie podcast. Mixing comedy with an academic look at film and Hollywood culture, this podcast is perfect for those looking for a fresh perspective. From deep dives into classic films to debates on digital streaming versus physical media and film discussions based on randomly chosen topics in our What Are We Talking About segments, there's something to satisfy all your movie podcast cravings. So if you're feeling lucky or feel the need for speed, grab your shaken martini or some fava beans and a nice Chianti and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Google Play. For more content, visit amoviepodcast.com. Find us on Instagram at Too Many Captains Productions and on Twitter at It's a Film Podcast. Too Many Captains, the jolliest bunch of podcasters this side of the nut house.
I literally was going to do that, and we're back, but I can't. I'm like, no.
You're way down here.
Yeah, just nope. It's going to hurt if I do it. So we've returned. So we're talking about artists that had an effect on our lives, songs that had an effect on our lives. And we got into, before the break, Kyle was talking a little bit about the thing that, because a lot of commenters and listeners to the show are often like, well, I can't believe how diverse Kyle is. So we wanted to dig a little bit into like what got you there, and going all the way back to the No Way Out record. Puff Daddy and the Family pretty much kicked off that half. So I would now turn it over to Michelle and ask you the same question. Was there a thing, like, because you've told us before on the show that like you primarily grew up on the Beatles and what your folks were listening to, you know, which is the same with a lot of kids, a lot of classic rock and whatnot. But was there a thing that, like, which artist or song was it that you first heard and you were like, okay, I'm going to start looking into my own thing?
I would say there's been like 3 major bands or groups, acts, that got me into other things than like classic rock.
Right on.
And they were a little bit later. Like I remember, like in my younger years.
Not to interrupt you, but like also, the bass that you were listening to is like pretty damn solid. You know, it wasn't like you had to reach out to get, you know what I mean? Like because your folks have good taste in music. Yeah. It wasn't like they were listening to stuff that you would now look back on and be like, oh, I can't believe I had to listen to that. You know what I mean? Like when they're spinning, you know, the Beatles and Fleetwood Mac, like you've got a good bass. So anyways, what was the thing that made you?
So like I went from like what my parents listened to boy bands. Like that was just my generation. And then
you have to say right now on the spot. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Neither.
Oh, I can have an answer for that.
Wait a minute. First of all, the answer is NSYNC.
Yeah, that's my answer.
First of all,
100%. I don't even think
that's
about
the answer.
it.
Don't make me put out a Twitter poll. But what do you mean neither? Are you an O-Town girl? What's going on here? 98 Degrees?
They're all just there for me. Like I went and saw.
Yeah, but back in the day when you were first into boy bands, who was the one that you liked more?
Whoever my friends liked more. Like I was just like that person. Like I didn't really.
Whichever band was being talked about at the lunch table, like you said.
Like I've seen NSYNC one time at the Palace because someone got me tickets. Like I just like when I was young, it was someone else. But like I was never like one band or the other. I've seen 98 Degrees. Hanson was in there. Was in the mix for me.
I love me some Nick Lachey.
Yeah. So
Hanson was a boy band for like one record. And then they were like, hey, we're going to go ahead and be a serious band now.
No, yeah. But like that Hanson is actually what kicked off my boy bandness.
Right. Swear to God, I'm not saying this for the joke of it. When I first saw Hanson, I just thought it was 3 sisters. Like, and I've said this before about the Poison record. When I bought Poison's first album and I flipped it over, I was like, holy crap, like, look at that. It's 4 chicks in a rock band. It's like you hadn't seen that before, you know?
Yeah.
Not 4 chicks. And for real, the first time I saw the Bop video, I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Like, those 3 sisters have a band. And
the Hanson sisters.
Yeah, turns out.
They're not.
Turns out not. So boy bands was the first thing you looked into, like, that you were like, this is mine. Like, this is.
That was the first thing that, like, my parents didn't listen to.
Right. So, your dad's not into boy bands?
No.
That's weird.
No, but that
for
was
reference,
mostly...
Michelle's dad is like the stereotypical Harley riding guy. Like
ZZ Top.
Yeah, absolutely no surprise that he's not into boy bands.
He's not, no. But, so that was the first thing that I remember, like, me talking about to my parents about music or whatever, and they were like, what? Like, that's not a thing. So I think from there was, like, 3 distinct changes. I feel like Eminem is definitely one of them. Yeah. Like, that opened the door for me. And then Good Charlotte is the one, and I talked about that was like I think my first concert was the one where I heard it and I got into like pop punk, if that's what we're calling it these days. Like that was
I think that's still what they
and so like that was when I first heard the anthem. I was like got stuck in my head and I was like I need more of this right now.
It's Good Charlotte that I need to have a word with.
Yep.
Okay, because they ruined about 5 years of our friendship. There was a time where you and I didn't agree on anything music wise.
I like Good Charlotte.
It started with Portishead.
Yeah.
And then went through your whole pop punk.
And then I think more of maybe there's 2 more. So like My Chem got me into like, and that was older when I was in high school, but got me into that different I don't know, indie rock. I don't know.
More hard rock.
Yeah. And then Dashboard Confessional got me into that emo angsty.
My Chem took you over to rock, but then Metallica, you were like, that's too far.
It's way too far. So like those are like the 3 turning point bands for me.
So like there's a line in the sand somewhere between My Chem and Metallica for you.
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry, what was Dashboard?
Yeah.
So you claim that you're not a country fan, which is horseshit. Like you know this, right? That she's actually a fan of country music. Okay,
no.
Yeah, and she just claims.
She also claims to not like Christmas too, but I have witnessed her singing along to Christmas carols
Lies.
that she put on to clean the
Video
house.
art didn't happen.
By the way, this is the second time Christmas has come up, so I'm going to stop off and mention this. You know what the worst Christmas song is, and if I ever hear it again, I'm going to flip a table.
That's Paul McCartney, right?
Paul McCartney. Simply What a Wonderful Christmas Time or whatever. That song makes me physically angry.
Oh, and they play it like on a loop at the store too.
Dude, it's on all the time.
Yeah,
I just pretty much like the first week of November until like the first week of January, I can't listen to the radio because that damn song's going to come on. And I don't need to justify myself. I loves me some Paul. You know, I mean, he's not the best Beatle, but he's a Beatle, and I like a lot of his solo stuff. But good God Almighty, do I hate that song?
Yeah.
You know, and it's nothing against Christmas music. Like there's a bunch of great Christmas music, but that is not one of them. And if people could stop playing that song. So there's two things from this episode I need. I need The Wall Live to be officially re-released, and I also need people to stop to boycott that damn Paul McCartney Christmas song. But what I was going to say about country is you are a country fan, even though you claim otherwise. Did the acoustic side of Dashboard lead you down the country path, like toward, like, for example, we always talk about the Lone Bellow and their like bluegrass Americana. I don't feel like you would have got there without Dashboard. Right?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And Darius is on my list too of things that, and just the Darius Rucker portion of his country career.
Oh,
yeah.
Country artist Darius Rucker, whom you like?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
was it
he's on the acceptable list.
When you fell asleep at the Garth show, was that like to prove that you're not a country fan?
Yeah.
Or was that to prove that you shouldn't have that much tequila?
Both.
A little of both.
Yeah,
I will
let's go
say
50-50.
I very much do not like the popular country songs that you hear on the radio, but Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker is
That's a great cover.
A damn jam.
That's a great cover. Ugh. Like, I feel like sometimes I don't like when a genre, like for a while there, it seemed like country really depended on covers to get by. Like every time there was somebody was like, did you hear the new Darius Rucker single? It's awesome. And I'd be like, what's it called? Wagon Wheel. I'm like, oh, like the old country song Wagon Wheel? And they're like, oh, it's an old song. I'm like, yeah, they're just recycling that, you know. But they come out every so often with one where you're like, well, that's just a great cover, you know. For me, there's easily 4 touchstones in my life that I can think of that are like the reason why I'm where I'm at, you know. And it's funny, people talk all the time, like people come over and they'll be like, oh, I can't believe you have so many records. And it's because, like, I'm not just buying records to buy records. Like, I don't like the fact that I have to spend this much money on records. Because
you sound like an addict.
Because I don't, there's not just one thing that I like one genre. I truly love so many different genres, and it gets hard to keep up with, all these things that you like. And if I go all the way back, far and away, this is all Elvis Presley's fault. And specifically, what happened to me was I completely just blind bought when I was 3 an Elvis live record, and he, of course, Hound Dog and all that crap's on there, but in the first 5 songs, he covers CCR, Three Dog Night, The Righteous Brothers, Dusty Springfield. Like in the first 5 songs, he's doing like 5 different genres, Yeah. So of course, when I was like ages like 3 to 8, I just thought those were all Elvis songs, And then,
as you do.
Yeah. Years later, I hear Dusty Springfield singing "You Don't Have to Say You Love Me" on the radio, and I'm like, why is she covering Elvis? Or when I finally heard "Never Been to Spain," I'm like, why did this band cover Elvis? No, it turns out he was covering Three Dog Night. And don't even get me started on the Righteous Brothers. I was like, who do these guys think they are covering "You've Lost That Love and Feeling"? Nope. Turns out Elvis was covering them. But what I did was I went back when I started to realize that these were not Elvis songs, and it instantly diversified my listening because I would go listen to more Three Dog Night. And then I would listen to more, So I would consider myself to be pretty damn cultured in music by like 5 because I was already listening to so many different types of music. In addition to my folks were listening to Simon and Garfunkel and John Denver, Charlie Pride, like Americana country type stuff. So I had all of that, which because Elvis really wasn't doing a lot of that material, so I had that covered, And then my Eminem was when I first heard Run DMC. And, obviously a very grew up in a very white city, in a very white school, and a kid from the inner city moved to our school, and in the 5th grade brought with him a cassette of Raisin Hell. And I, for real, was like, I didn't even know you could do this. Yeah. It was just... I was just blown, like from Ray, not Peter Piper. It's Tricky. It's based on a sample of My Sharona. And I was just like, wait a minute. You can take a song and make a whole different song out of it. You know, everything about Raising Hell just blew me away. And then, you know, like when Walk This Way was on there, I probably heard that record when I was like seven or 8. And it was like, Walk This Way featuring Aerosmith. And I'm like, who the hell is Aerosmith? You know, because they were like not a thing anymore by the time that, you know, they had pretty much blown up their whole career while I was developing my musical taste. Yeah. So that record like was a gateway into all the power, like arena rock. Like I would look into Aerosmith and Journey and Asia and all that stuff because of them being on that Run DMC record. But the Run DMC record got me into like Grandmaster Flash, Kool Moe Dee, LL Cool J, like, you know, and now I'm listening to all of this stuff in addition to all that stuff that Elvis already brought to the table, you know. So probably the biggest change after that was when I first heard Pink Floyd and I was 11, and I was just like, it was almost the same reaction to Run DMC. I was like, I didn't know you could do this, you know, like I didn't know you could make like a big grand statement with like a song or whatever, you know. Right. So but one thing I want to mention, and I swear to God this is true, one artist that I think people don't look at as a person who helps with musical diversity is Weird Al.
He's on my list.
Yeah, Weird Al, I'm so happy he's on your list, because if you go buy any of the classic Weird Al records, Dare to Be Stupid, Polka Party, Even Worse, whatever, any of the classic ones, or you know what, actually, let me use this as an example, Off the Deep End, one of his biggest records, and it was anchored by that Nirvana single, right? Smells Like Nirvana. Mm-hmm. But on there, he also does a Milli Vanilli parody, there's a Beach Boys style parody, like on one record, you get like 11 distinct styles of music. Yeah. And when I was a kid, like there were whole artists I looked into because Weird Al did a parody of them. Yeah. You know, and like people don't recognize that about Weird Al. Like
I remember being a kid and listening to Weird Al and buying one of his CDs, and I had a friend growing up who had concerts on like VHS, and we would watch that, and when he's in the fat suit and on stage, and it was just like, it was like you could have fun with music to me. So that was when I really appreciated, you know, like look how much fun he's having, and he's you know not making fun of, but like, you know,
he's never mean spirited.
No, and he's, you know, having fun with these songs, and they have funny lyrics, and you can just laugh, and then you know they were songs that you already knew the melody to, so they're easy to listen to, and I can just remember. I remember sitting in my friend's basement, being like, "What is this?" Yeah,
I really strongly encourage people to really go back and dig into Weird Al. Like when I was growing up, when Weird Al came out, there was always like the parody that anchored the record. Yeah. So like when In 3D came out, everybody was like, "Have you heard Eat It?" You know, and then like nobody I knew listened to the rest of that record. You know, Dare to Be Stupid came out, and Like a Surgeon was the thing, and like nobody listened to the rest of that record. I was like the only kid that was listening to the whole damn album. And there's so many different styles. And now I'm doing Weird Al tangent like you're Eminem one, but the Weird Al thing is, Weird Al is one of the most brilliant lyricists in the past 40 years of music, and no one knows it. Like the way he puts everything about, like he never makes a cheap joke, and all of his lyrics always fit the exact original rhyme scheme of the original song, but it still makes his joke. One of his most recent hits, and actually his only #1 record ever, was the last album that he released. He's never releasing another studio record. His last album that he released was Mandatory Fun, and it debuted at #1. It's the only #1 album he's ever had.
He's done?
Yeah. He's not done. He's going to do like digital releases and stuff, but like full records, he's just, you know, he's like many of us. He's like, oh, look, the day of the album is, you know, coming to a close. So
White and Nerdy was...
White and Nerdy was huge, but the one I was going to point out off of Mandatory Fun is Word Crimes instead of Blurred Lines. That song is so good that people use it in their curriculum. They and teachers actually use that in their curriculum because of how well thought out it is. And the whole meandering point that I'm going to make here is where he puts exactly his joke in a song, but it still fits the point of the song. Is the part in Blurred Lines where the song stops and it says, "You the hottest bitch in this place." The lyric leading up to that, Weird Al is going on about apostrophes and whatnot, and then the song stops and he's like, "You would not use it in this case." Like, and it's just brilliant. Like, it's just brilliant. But like, again, that song is so well done that teachers actually use it in the classroom, like as a way to connect, you know, to have the students. But Weird Al, what's funny is when I was thinking of this, I didn't even put him down as like one of my influences, but he absolutely is.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I will say I am thankful for him too, but I've never owned one of his records. I had a friend who was super into him, and that's how I found out about him. And I essentially soaked up all of what I knew about him through what my friend had.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, like you said, like, it's very diverse, and like you can't not mention him affecting.
Yeah, but people don't think of it.
Yeah. No. I didn't even think of it until you mentioned that. Like,
I did. He's on my list.
I know, which is awesome. But like, give you a pinpoint thing for him. So if you don't listen to the whole record, you know, like I say, there's a million different genres on there, right? Mm-hmm. Every album that he has a polka, which is like a medley of songs that didn't make the cut to like do a parody of or whatever, for whatever reason. And it's like a polka medley of basically like the last couple of years of music, right? Like in a row. And there's been tons of songs that I've been like, I don't even know what he's doing there, you know. And then like I've looked into, like, one is what's that? I'm not sick, but I'm not well.
Flagpole Sitta.
Yes. When I heard that his polka, I was like, what the hell song is that? So I like looked into it, and I was like, and I was like, what a jam. You know what I mean? So just that one thing on every Weird Al record made me listen to more music than I had, you know. And I talked about this with The Wall, like, Pink Floyd musically blew my mind, and then when I started to look into the lyrics, I was just like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know. I would say before NWA and Eminem and everybody really started talking about like real life issues, or like Michael Jackson, where things became very real life issues on like history, that was the first time where I heard an artist in their lyrics talking about real life issues. And I was just like, you know, if you dig into, we'll just say the Wish You Were Here album talks a lot about the problems with the music industry and Sid's mental illness and whatnot. And it was stuff that I was just like, I didn't know you could, like, I thought it all had to be like rainbows and sunshine, and, you know, or like, oh,
Heartbreak.
I broke up with, or I broke up with my girl. I didn't know that you could do that in a song. And so when I seek out new artists, that's more what I look for, is people talking real. What I'm so excited that Weird Al's on your list. Who else do you have on your list, and why?
So, Fall Out Boy is a big one on my list. And I'm
curious as to the thinking behind that.
So I don't know. I can distinctly remember finding the Fall Out Boy CD. What I used to do when I worked at Media Play was, like, with my check, I would just go buy a record that I've never heard of. And
I remember.
Yeah, and like most of the time it was not good.
Like, you, in all seriousness, you would just buy a random record?
Yep, I would out of every check I would go and buy a random record, and it was 99.9% out of how the record looked. Like, I would judge it and be like, that looks like a record that I would, And I remember buying Fall Out Boy, and
I was
there's
like,
a
saying about not doing that. I can't think. I can't think of what it is though. So you picked up, which Fall Out Boy did you get first?
Their debut album, which I think is self-titled.
Okay.
Grand Theft Autumn is the first track on that album. Not the first track on the album. The first track that I heard on that album. It's the Where Is Your Boy Tonight? I Hope He's a Gentleman. I don't know if it's anybody. I don't think it was ever a single, maybe. But anyways,
I don't think so.
As soon as that started, I can remember being like, I want more music like this, which is kind of after. It was after Good Charlotte, but I couldn't. There was a gap for me between
call Fall Out Boy evolution past pop punk or whatever you call it?
Yeah, so like Good Charlotte kind of came and went. They had like one album, and then there wasn't really anybody else for me in between. So it was like, I like this, and then there's just that for, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't really look into, I tried to find other stuff, but it was Good Charlotte for a long time. And then when I got into Fall Out Boy, it was like I went hard into like the Warped Tour scene, like anybody who's played Warped Tour, you know, like Yellow Card and
I remember you being about
Pennywise and Less Than Jake, and anybody who was playing Warped Tour, I was like buying all that CDs. But it stemmed from me buying that Fall Out Boy CD, because like I was like, well, Fall Out Boy's doing Warped Tour this year. Let's find out all these other people that like I want to find. Like all these people are listed on these the thing, and I'm buying their records and I'm eating it up. I think
you're the only other person on earth I've ever known to like that song by Switchfoot. I forget what the Chloroform, the one you love.
That's not Switchfoot. That's Flicker Stick.
That. Well, anyways, but no, I think there's
a Switchfoot song.
Yeah, I think I do like Switchfoot too.
But yeah, no, Flicker Stick was another one. which is not as pop punky to me. It's more like, but anyways.
Great song title, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Chloroform, the one you love.
I've seen them twice.
I'm pretty sure you're the only other person I've ever met that's even heard that song.
And I didn't even know they were on Bands on the Run. Like, I literally had no idea they were from a TV show. I was just like, I found this CD and it's great. Yeah. But so for me, it wasn't necessarily like a new genre for me, but after I heard that album by Fall Out Boy, I just ate up everything else in that scene. But the door was opened for me by Good Charlotte. So, and then I can distinctly remember my chem. I got the free CD from Media Play. It was the promo CD.
Oh, I like the promos, yeah.
And we were giving it away, and I was like, well, I'll see what this is about. And I put it in my car, and I was driving back to Wayne State. And this is probably after it's been out for a little bit, because I think we're cleaning out the office.
Sure.
And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then it was on repeat. It lived in my car forever, and I was like, I need more of this. And then I got into the used after that. I'm trying to think, there was some
My Chemical Romance makes exactly one song that I love. And I don't
I love a total of 0 songs.
Oh, have you heard Teenagers? Because I feel like I can change your mind.
I don't know, man.
I love that one song, man. I love that song. And but other and I don't hate anything they've ever done. I have their greatest hits package because it's got Teenagers on it. But and then when I put it on, I'll play that whole side. Like I'm not just in and out to hear that one song. I'll play it, but I don't love them. I just certainly don't hate them. But that one song, man, that is my jam.
Yeah, so that was, and I never really got into screamo that much, but and then there came Dashboard, and then I was like, I need
that whole genre is no good,
and it's not good at all. And so then I got very into the sit in a corner and cry, sort of.
I know.
I never even experienced heartache at that point, but I was like, I get it. I get what you're going through.
There was you, and if one more of you had come to me and been like, have you heard Damien Rice? I would be like, stop it. I don't want to hear that music. Stop
Why?
it. Because I don't want to hear it.
Elliott Smith, I went back.
Holy crap.
Which I feel like for me, so it opened the door, Dashboard opened that door for me, and then I went back and found Elliott Smith.
So I need to talk to the guy from Dashboard.
Yeah, Chris Carrabba.
It really is like a Pandora's box. If for everybody when they get into music, I don't think everyone secretly listened to a bunch of different things back in the day and didn't tell other people about it.
Oh yeah.
And now it's okay to be I just told you that I would pick NSYNC over Backstreet Boys. I would have never said that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have never told anybody that I liked NSYNC.
But I think that's also just your age. You need to look cool in front of your friends, and now you grow out of that, and you're just like, I don't give an F.
And so for me, when my parents got divorced, that was the
NSYNC got you through it. They did that for a lot of folks.
That was the catalyst of what got me to, I think, where I am today. Because up until then,
I was going to say, tell us about the.
I want to say that my CD binder was all rap, all hardcore rap, all the stuff from Death Row and Tupac and Snoop Dogg and.
At a guess, I'm going to say your folks got divorced, and then Marilyn Manson and Slipknot.
Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, Cold Chamber, Tool.
God, Cold Chamber, I haven't heard that in a while.
So then I came out of that and after I am able to mentally settle down and things start to normalize, I have this CD book and it's full of all of this different stuff that's rap and rock and I would say maybe Eminem bridges the gap between the two.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And then you start to Alexis on Fire.
Oh wow!
So then I get to there and then I hear the name Dallas Green and I'm like, oh okay, well he's in that band and he's also City and Color,
right?
Completely different music. And then that opens a whole other branch of I really like what he's doing with this, but I really like that band as well.
Side note, I thought it was Alex is on Fire.
I think I'm pretty sure it's Alexis on Fire.
Oh no,
sure it is.
No, you're 1,000% correct.
Yeah.
So for years, I sounded like an idiot.
I wish I was the one that corrected you.
I would tell people about this song by Alex is on Fire, and then turns out. It's actually Alexis on Fire. You know what? Separate your damn words, because for the listeners, the name of the band is all one word.
Yeah.
So if they would have just separated it into 3 words, I would have known.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, and it's just I just started all over the place after that. And now if I hear Blackberry, a lot of his early stuff is emo-ish, and it's all about girls and breaking up and that kind of stuff. But it's rap, but it's emo, and then now all the stuff that's coming out, it's like poppy stuff that you would like hear on the radio, and I just like all of his stuff, and it's not for any one particular reason.
So I started my list with one artist that very much heavily influenced like who I am as a person, not just my music taste. And my last one that I'm gonna mention, and I'm not kidding, I'm gonna try to make this short, but another artist that I've learned a ton from about who's helped me become who I am, and I just learned a ton from about overcoming pretty much anything that can be thrown your way, was Michael Jackson. When I was a kid, it was a whole different ballgame. It was, holy crap, the guy with the glove and the moonwalk and whatever. Like, that was a whole different thing than what would become. I learned so much from that guy from '93 on about, and we've talked about this before, but like the History album. That dude took on the worst thing someone can say about you head on. And the most important part of that record for me is that, because we've talked about this before, it's a very angry album. Scream, They Don't Care About Us, Dom Sheldon, Money. It's such an aggressive and angry album. And then the record ends with Smile. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, this dude has been called the worst thing you can be called, instantly convicted in the court of public opinion. It's off and on still to this day after he's passed. And the dude ends that record, his first statement out of the gate, with Smile. Even when there's clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you just smile. And it's like, are you kidding me? And I was just like, well, hopefully I'm never going to go through anything close to what that guy experienced. And his message was, you still got to smile.
Yeah.
And that just affects me. Like, it every time something adverse happens to me, I think about that. And I love that an artist was able to have that effect on me, because he very much, like, if it was me, that record wouldn't have been called His Story. That record would have been called, let me tell you how many different ways you can go fuck yourself. And it would have been Scream 10 times in a row, and I've been like, did you get my new album, Scream? It's all just Scream. And like, I still to this day, I'm like, how, like, the last 27 years of that dude's life, he spent just being like, I'm going to keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
And he didn't let it, like Al Sharpton said, at his service, he never let the world turn him away from his message. The dude's still putting out Heal the World, Hold My Hand, Change. He's like still trying to deliver that message in the face of adversity. And I try and put that into my everyday life as much as I can. Do you guys, and don't mean to put you right on the spot, but do you guys have any artists like that like have affected your opinions or like how you think about anything in life? Like, it doesn't have to be that grand of a scale, but maybe like, Eminem, was there anything that he said that you were like, oh, I never thought about it that way? Or,
the way he dealt with things and his anger helped me get my anger out. And without me having to go get my anger out. Like, it just,
I think there's a meme that goes around that's like shows a record collection and it's like still cheaper than a therapist.
Yeah. And I really feel that way about like Slipknot and Korn and all these bands. I don't know that I would have made it through as put together as I am now if I wasn't.
I was going to say, that's debatable. I'm kidding.
For lack of a better term, without listening to that stuff,
right?
And like, I still listen to all of it today.
Yeah.
And like, it just,
I do that. Do you ever do that? I reflect a lot when I'm listening to stuff like that. Like when I listen to history, I think about like what I've learned from it, or if I listen to The Wall, I think about what I've learned from it.
Yeah.
What about you, Michelle?
So I've been thinking about this all week.
Oh boy.
Oh wow.
Because I knew this was going to be a question.
She's like Weird Al at the end.
And I can't think of one, like...
Weird Al taught you to make jokes out of anything?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I can't think of one specific artist who I've, like... I understand Michael Jackson, like the whole thing, and I commend that, and I connect with his message, and and I get that. But he's not as important to me as he is to you,
right.
like that. And that sounded shitty, but like that's
I know
just
what you mean.
So there hasn't been that one artist
also,
for me yet.
When you look at it too, like that comes naturally to you as a person to be like, we're going to get through this. Like you are like, it's okay. It's okay. Like you and me, I'm like, the moment something adverse happens, I'm like, this is the end of times.
Yeah.
Like, did you
burn it down?
Yeah. Did you guys hear? We're all going to die. So
there's a lot of songs that touch me and that like I've learned from, and that's just a lengthy list. And I don't really have one off the top of my head, but there's a lot of songs that have lyrically helped me in just different times. But there hasn't been that one artist who I'm like, everything they do, and I follow them and I listen to what they say outside of of their music.
Yeah.
You know, like there's not.
Well, that's
been...
a slippery slope too. Sometimes when artists open their mouth, you're like, don't talk outside
we
of your
talked
music.
about, you know, like does what they say affect the music, and like, and I'm very music oriented. You know, like I don't follow, to my knowledge. There's very few artists that I follow, you know, on Instagram to see what they're saying about stuff. You know, like I don't really. It's more about the music for me. So. No, there's not been that one singular.
But I do know, I'm not going to spill any of your personal tea here, but I do know that, like, you are very affected by the messages in certain songs.
For
like,
sure.
you have definitely been like, did you hear so-and-so wrote a song for me?
Yeah,
because of, like,
for
what
sure.
you're actually going through. You know?
And that has happened a ton for a plethora of different artists in lots of different genres. And it's never been for me like this is the one thing that has gotten me through. I don't have that Michael Jackson story yet, but you know, I'm young. I'm 34.
Well, that's also debatable. I gotta say, on behalf of the show, on behalf of our legal team, we can't be held responsible for the claims made by the personalities on the show. So, like Kyle and his whole "I'm put together," we're not responsible for that. And Michelle and "I'm young," like like a waitress in Las Vegas once said, "You look old."
Are we down here?
But yeah, I just, you know, for me, I will say too, there's a ton of artists that are the other way too, where like I like the song and I'm like, I don't know if I'm on board with this message, but I still like the song.
For sure.
You know? It's got a good beat and I can dance to it. So, you know,
that's all that you need sometimes too, to dance it out. Like that, I don't really care what you're dancing to or you're talking about, but
is that the main message of this episode? Is dance it out.
I'm on the Meredith Grey approach when she just drinks some tequila and
is that what she
dance
does?
it out.
Oh, does she?
God.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Is that show where a lot of people die?
They try not to have a lot of people die. That's the whole point of the show, actually.
Yep. So, hey, I feel like this has been a great discussion. I was not kidding when I said at the top of the show that this is the least amount of effort I've ever put into an episode.
I think it flowed well. I think we did a good job.
I do.
Yay!
I do.
Too loud?
I was going to say, round of applause for us.
You know, I will say that I didn't make a list at all of anything for this episode because I just wanted it to, as we were talking, to flow naturally because I knew as soon as, like, what happened, like, as soon as you started talking and Michelle started talking, all this shit started filling up in my head.
You should listen to a lot of Weird Al now. I'm not kidding. His lyrics are so brilliant. Like, they're so brilliant. Speaking of which, do you know where you'll be able to hear some Weird Al this week?
On our playlist on Spotify.
On our playlist on Spotify. So at the top of the show, I mentioned all of our socials, and then we also have that Spotify playlist.
It has the longest name ever.
Right. When we get to... it does. But when we get to having the website up, and I've mentioned this before, but my wife is keeping track of all of these, and so she's going to have an area where she'll... Because I understand not everybody in the world has a Spotify account, but that is where our playlist is.
Or listens week by week.
Yeah, or listens, week by week. So, because we do have to swap out the playlist every week. And what's going to happen is my wife's going to put up the songs or artists that were talked about every week in a blog post or whatever for every episode. So you can just go dig into this stuff on your own. So we have that. And then next week we'll have another couple episodes next week per usual. We're going to have the main episode and the final bonus episode will be out. If you guys are hearing this on Monday, that means it'll be out Friday, or if you're listening to it whenever, and the rest of the week it's still coming. And then, so next week we are going to talk about our favorite concerts of all time, and I would really like to dig into why it's your favorite, like what is it about that, and with the interest of being hey, other artists, you should be doing this more, to make your concerts better, and so anyways, we're going to talk about that next week. We do have a break in the show coming up, but that's not going to last long. It's only going to be a couple weeks, and then we're going to get right back after it. So,
whoops. So,
anyways, we greatly appreciate you guys listening and all the support and everything. Without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
Bye. The Infectious Groove podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Opening credits read by Stacey Robinson. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mics.